It's the Chinese New Year, and in the crowd of the Chinatown, a private detective named Walter is walking tensely. He proceeds to drop a package into the mailbox, gives a sigh of relief, steals a jacket, and continues walking towards the street. However, a van knocks him down and drives away. Meanwhile, his son, James, a Navy commander, is training his team. In between, he is informed about the news and reaches the morgue. He is told it is a hit-and-run case. He lives in Hawaii and returns to his home, to his wife Layla and 2 kids, Kai and Lonnie. He nonchalantly tells his wife that his father died, as he had no contact with him for ages. Layla tells him sorry, and says he should call his stepbrother Johnny. James says he doesn't pick up his calls, and they had no real connection with their father anyway. In the meantime, Johnny, who happens to be a cop, is on his bike returning to his home, only to find his girlfriend, Valentina, is packing her bags and leaving. He approaches her and tries to make sense of it all. She has given up on the relationship since he cares nothing for her. It's her birthday, and he has forgotten it. Johnny regrets it, but she packs up and leaves. Johnny spends the night drinking when he receives a call from Layla with the news of his father's death. She shares with him the date of the funeral, but Johnny has no interest in coming. When he is in the washroom, 2 men come behind him with a dagger. They show a tattoo indicating they are the Yakuza gang. They are here to get the package his father sent, but Johnny has no idea about that. He adds that he is having a bad day already and attacks them. He beats them black and blue, while another one shoots at them. He ducks and uses the beaten guy and whips the gunman. A fight breaks out in the whole room, and he smashes them away. Once one of the guys drops his mother's picture, he finishes him off brutally. He picks up the image and checks out the hidden photo of his father on the inside. It's the day of the funeral. James's sister Haunani is present there. James is concerned about seeing 2 separate gangs. The Syndicate and the Yakuza are present as well. They say Walter was a private detective, and he must have had some connections. She asks about Johnny, but he says there is no chance of his coming. However, Johnny arrives there soon enough and gets introduced to James's kids. The relationship between the brothers is grumpy, and they keep on arguing with word plays. Soon, the funeral procedure is done, and his ashes are taken away. The brothers arrive at James's house. The conflict between them lies in the fact that Walter cheated on James's mother and had Johnny. James doesn't want to talk about it, as this incident broke up his family, and he was just a kid. At the lunch table, the city governor, Peter Mayhew, is present as well, who happens to be a family friend. He says it looks better to see the brothers under the same roof, and the conversation continues with their past lives when one says Walter would like to see them together. Johnny says he is not here for the funeral, but to figure out who killed him. Everyone is shocked, and the kids are sent upstairs. He explains how people came to his home last night to kill him. James says he is always bringing trouble along with him. Apparently, Johnny believes his mother was killed as well, but they did not delve into it. It quiets everyone up. James asks him outside, and he follows. James frustratedly says it is always trouble he is bringing in, and it was merely a hit and run. Johnny, being frustrated, walks out. Later, Johnny is at a bar, having a drink. He sees his old friend Aokai, who is surprised that he has come back to Hawaii. Aokai belongs to the Syndicate gang that has come with a message from their leader, Mr. K, who wants to meet Johnny. Johnny rejects it, but he is drugged with his drink, and he falls unconscious. He wakes up, tied, and Mr. K is there. Apparently, they have a long history, as Johnny killed a lot of their guys since he always believed they were the ones who killed his mother, but Mr. K doesn't admit that. He is dragged here as a warning that they won't tolerate any attack. Mr. K suggests that he go back home, but as Johnny doesn't comply, they pin him down and put a mark on him. Mr. K says he has 7 days to leave. Johnny is then dropped by the seaside. James meets with Detective Rennert to get a little information about the hit-and-run case of his father. Rennert says the city where it happened is kind of weird. There are no witnesses, no forensics, and the cops don't respond. James wonders about security cameras, but there were none apart from one, which wasn't even working. James wonders if it's odd for a private detective to go like that without an investigation. Rennert says there was no reason to believe any deeper foul play, and adds that he can take his father's belongings collected. James is about to leave, but Rennert tells him that delving further into this might be poking a bear that doesn't want to be poked. James says that he doesn't know much about him, but he is the bear. James checks the belongings of his father in the car. There's a flash drive and a piece of paper with so many things written. In the meantime, Johnny sneaks into his father's house. He checks up his desk and finds a gun. Just then, someone else walks in and he hides. The man hustles through his things, and Johnny approaches him. He throws things at him and jumps down to the street. Johnny takes the stairs. The man continues running, but Johnny takes him off guard and knocks him down. He takes him away and asks what he was doing there. The man named Pika says Walter was like a father to him, and upon hearing Johnny's name, he tells him that he used to work for his father as his hacker, helping him tap phones and so on. Johnny asks what the last thing Walter asked him to do was, and Pika says it was to get a job with Nui Loa, a catering company. Johnny says that he is going to work for him now and pours him a drink. Meanwhile, James is inspecting his father's accident spot and notices a camera on a nearby adult shop. He gets in and asks the counter guy to share with him the footage of the particular night, passing him some cash. The man calls out the manager, and James forwards the request to him. Once rejected, he hands him some cash as well, but he asks him to get out. James then decides to attack. At Walter's house, Johnny sees a surfing board and asks Pika if Walter surfed, but he responds that he had a bad knee. Johnny takes the board, and something falls from there. It turns out to be a blueprint. Mayho has gathered up a party alongside the beach to promote him for the upcoming election. Haunani is there because she is his assistant. She receives a call from Johnny, who tells her about the blueprint that has a government seal on it. She says she can access the database with the help of an 8-digit number there, and Johnny finds it, but she hangs up, leaving it for later. Johnny takes a peek at the print and sees plans for demolishing residents and schools. Pika is about to leave for the clinic when James breaks in. Johnny humors him since he has, after all, arrived here suspecting foul play. James has brought in the footage, and they see the accident. The car has no license plate. It doesn't seem like an accident, but rather a deliberate hit. Johnny says he now needs all the information about any blue van around the town, and the information from the catering service Pika works in. Pika leaves, and they wonder how their father lived in such a small room. They get out. They are in the car trying to make a connection of all these. James still believes it could be nothing. They begin an argument when they are met with a heavy hit. They are knocked over by another car and are being fired at. James accelerates, and Johnny grabs hold of his gun. He shoots, but the glass is bulletproof. James grabs his gun and finishes off one. Johnny breaks down the door and gets out. He hides from the firings. James somehow manages to climb up his car and jumps over the attackers. They shoot the windshield, but it doesn't break. Johnny asks James to jump as he shoots the gas tank. The cars are set on fire, and James is saved. James complains it was his favorite car, but they are exploded. Rennert sits them together and gives a lecture on the chaos they have made. He tells them that it was the Yakuza who attacked them, and he also reveals the fact that Johnny is not a cop anymore. He was suspended 2 months ago. James gives him the drive to look over the accident footage. He then leaves them with a warning. In the evening, Haunani presents what she has found out. It was the blueprint of the property on the north side funded by the Robichaux firm, run by Marcus Robichaux, who owns pretty much every property up there. They have a picture of him, and guess Walter was working for him, but Johnny doesn't understand the big deal of building an apartment. James says it was not an apartment, but rather a casino, seeing a stamp on the back. Haunani says gambling is illegal here. James believes they should talk to this Robichaux, and Haunani responds that he is actually hosting his annual fundraiser for the art museum tomorrow. The next morning, Johnny is excited to see James' big bike. James comes in and says he can't take it, and then shows their father's old bike. They go for a ride with those and reach the spot where the casino is supposed to be built. It's a Hawaiian village, and the community of Ahamaku has been there for 10 centuries. Johnny receives a call from Pika, who informs them that the cops have pulled a blue van out of the ocean. They have found a body. Rennert says there is damage in the front of the vehicle, and it has no license plate. It must be the hit-and-run car. Rennert shares the details of all the blue vans registered in this town. There is Hayashi Imports, the only Japanese name on the list. They think of reaching there, but Pika says they can start from Robichaux's fundraiser, as they are doing catering there. At the party, Pika sneaks in the brothers dressed as waiters. He also has the information that Hayashi's imports belong to the Yakuza gang. Pika says they should split up now. Johnny sees a good-looking woman and follows her. He reaches her by the balcony and introduces himself. She joins with his humor while Pika puts James to dishwashing. Just then, a guy comes up to him asking for a plate. He takes some cocaine in the meantime. The woman hears Johnny's last name, Hale, and gets curious, for she knows Walter Hale. Johnny says he was his father, and she gets worried hearing that he passed away. After the guy leaves, James checks out the card he used, and there is written the name of Hayashi Imports. Johnny asks the woman about her connection with his father, and she tells him that she hired him to look into his husband's activities, assuming he was having an affair. She is Monica Robichaux, the wife of Marcus Robichaux. They are having a divorce, and if she can find any evidence of him cheating, she can get enough out of it. James then calls up Johnny when the cocaine guy named Nakamura approaches him. James returns his card, saying he left it. Nakamura asks what he knows about Hayashi Imports. He replies only that a blue van is missing. Nakamura understands his identity, and James asks what the Yakuza wants with Robichaux. Nakamura doesn't respond to that, and brings in a threatening tone. Monica says she has to go and leaves with an address. Nakamura continues his subtle threat and walks off. James then sees that some guards are taking Johnny, and soon a couple of them approach him as well. They bring them up to Robichaux's chamber. Robichaux says that the kind of muscle they have, people might say, what a pair of idiots. But he can see that they are actually smart. James then reveals their real identities. Robichaux says he believes he paid Walter in full. They get curious knowing he hired Walter, and Robichaux appears shocked hearing he died. Johnny accuses him of being responsible for Walter's death. James then asks him about his connection with his father, and he responds that it's to keep an eye on his wife, Monica, for he suspected she was cheating on him. Johnny acts intimidating, playing with a grenade. They then see a couple fingers on the table, and Robichaux drives them off. The next morning, Johnny reaches the address Monica gave him and sees a crowd around the place. It turns out she has fallen from the building and died. In anger, Johnny immediately rushes to Robichaux's mansion. He is chilling by the pool, as Johnny is finishing off his men one by one. But before he can reach very further, he is tasered and put down. Robichaux comes before him, and Johnny blames him for killing his wife. Johnny is in the jail cell when Mayho comes in, saying how Nani has personally requested him for his bail. He has somehow requested Robichaux to drop the charges. Johnny says he killed his wife, and Mayho says it's the police's job to look into it, not his. He further says there was a darkness in Walter that he sees in him and his brother. But they have each other, something that Walter did not have. James waits outside as Johnny comes out. James is furious and says he can't keep doing this all the time. He says that smashing everyone around won't bring his mother back. It frustrates Johnny, and he headbutts him, beating him furiously. James strikes back, and a heavy fight breaks out in the rain. In the end, James has the upper hand and knocks him down. James is completely frustrated. Johnny sits back and says what kind of man abandons his little brother when he needs him the most. James says the syndicate was going to kill him. He had to send him away for his own protection. Johnny says he has no idea what he felt looking dead into his dying mother's eyes, having nothing to do. He was all he had left, and he abandoned him. James sits down and says he understands. He finally apologizes to Johnny. He asks why he is chasing this so badly, since Walter was never a good father. Johnny says he never found the man who killed his mother, but he can't keep letting this happen. Back at home, they have to hear a long lecture from Layla, but it breaks off as Johnny receives a call from Valentina. She said she has come to pick up the mail, and he has got a package. Johnny understands it's the package the Yakuza was looking for, and she opens it. Inside, there is a flash drive. Johnny says that she has to bring herself to Hawaii. She says there's no way she is going to go there, but after all goes anyway. She gets introduced to James and Pika. Johnny then takes the flash drive and tries to make things right, but she walks away. James trolls him for it, and they get going. In the car, Pika accesses the flash drive, and it's a digitally encrypted wallet. Valentina says they need a 12-digit passcode to access this, and James gives him the bill he found in Walter's belongings. Pika tries that. Johnny then says to James how hot his girlfriend is, and James agrees. Valentina can hear all that. Just then, a chopper fires at them. Johnny grabs the gun and shoots, but it's of no use. Valentina takes the driving seat since they can use the guns. The chopper creates havoc on the road, and Valentina manages to pass the wrecks. A bike takes their tail. She turns the car around and makes them knock over. Johnny and James then take the two of them and finish them off. They drive on. Johnny takes the soldier's gun to take on the chopper behind them. Valentina finally kisses him. Johnny shoots at them, but it doesn't work. James aims quietly and takes a headshot, letting the chopper go. But it drops on the road, and they manage to get into the tunnel before it explodes. They finally reach a quiet spot, and James is furious since his wife's car is messed up now as well. Pika has finally accessed it. Valentina takes a look and sees that there is a transfer of $12 million going in an account every year, and the account belongs to someone named Mayho, who is the governor. They realize Robichaux has been paying this to Mayho because he needs someone to legalize gambling. Further, he brings in the Yakuza for protection. Haunani is with the governor, and she brings in the blueprint to him, saying Robichaux might be up to something illegal. Mayho says that nothing bad is going to happen in his watch. He will review all this and take away the blueprint. The brothers return to the car, believing the guy from the blue van gave Walter the flash drive. Mayho realizes this, calls Robichaux, who calls the Yakuza, and they torture the blue van driver, who gives up Walter. Then they finish Walter. They all reach the house. James calls for his family, but no responses are heard. He then sees that some things are smashed and her phone is lying on the floor. He runs in and finds Kai and Lonnie hiding in the bathroom. He is relieved, but they have taken Layla. Johnny receives a video, and it's from Robichaux. They have captured both Haunani and Layla. He says he must bring in the drive now, and the message ends. Furious, the brothers get into James's weaponry. They grab all the essentials and put them in the bag. They reach the mansion, and with the use of suppressors, finishes off the guards one by one. They approach further into the house, distract a bunch of the guards with a car alarm, and blow them all up. James shoots one from a glass, but the bullet doesn't go through. However, the dumb man opens the window to get shot. They then drag the bodies into the pool. Inside Robichaux's place, the power is suddenly cut off. One of the men goes to check it and sees that the wires are clipped. He then sees the pool full of bodies and warns them. But before he can explain further, he is stabbed. Johnny takes the call and says he will see him in a second and hangs up. The Yakuza gets ready to fight, and so does Robichaux. In the hallway, the men are met by James. A fight breaks out between them, and James finishes them off one after the other. The fight goes on. He takes the last one down the hall, and Johnny meets him. They reach the chamber and free the women. They are about to go, but Johnny wants to finish off the business, and Layla stops James as well, saying they should give them a lesson that they messed up with the wrong family. Johnny has gone to find Robichaux, while James is met with Nakamura's firings. A gunfight begins as Johnny finds out Robichaux is trying to escape. Nakamura takes a sword and starts fighting him. Johnny takes him off guard, and he requests hand-to-hand combat, and they begin fighting. James has gotten hold of a heavy weapon and fights on. He pins him down and ends him with his own sword. Johnny is dragged on a hook by Robichaux and is weakened. He is about to shoot him when James arrives at the spot. However, Johnny has somehow gotten hold of a grenade and shows him the pin. He shoots, but the explosion occurs and Johnny falls into the water. James runs to his rescue and saves his brother. He holds onto him as the dock continues burning. The next morning, the police arrive at Mayho's office and arrest him. He tries to manipulate the others for their help, but they turn their back on him. Later, the family is celebrating at the beach side when Johnny is giving a memorial to his mother. In the meantime, Mr. K arrives. He says that most of the illegal gambling goes through the syndicate, but the Yakuza shook hands with Robichaux to enter into their business. He did not want to take a fight and somehow managed to poke him into this chaos. Mr. K gives a paper. There's the name of the person who killed his mother, and it was not anyone from the syndicate. He then leaves him. Johnny returns to James and shows him the paper. James says he has not been there for him enough, so whatever he decides, he has got his back. Johnny says he always wanted to be friends with his father, but it never happened. James asks if he ever wonders why Walter sent that flash drive to him, and he believes it might be because he was calling him home. They then return to the family, dropping the piece of paper in the fire. You were watching the recap of the 2026 movie, The Wrecking Crew. For more recaps like this, stay subscribed to the channel, and if you have enjoyed this video, you may also like this.